Yeah, I'm thinking it's 2023 if you know what I mean. So I'm going to welcome you guys back to So You're Interested In, the show where I break down an artist's discography in order to give you, the viewer, the best possible jumping off point in order to get into their catalog. On this episode, we will be breaking down the highly touted Destroyer. Forming in Vancouver in 1995, this band has quite a hefty backlog of music. With Dan Behar acting as the group's founder and chief creative member, they have found their hands in many different subgenres throughout their 25 plus years. Ranging from indie rock, folk, art pop, glam rock, and even jazz, Destroyer muddles all of these sounds together to create something truly beautiful. In a way, I'd say it's fair to compare their menagerie of sounds to the likes of somebody like David Bowie, who was also constantly evolving during his time as a songwriter, just like Destroyer. Now, as I did say earlier, Destroyer does have a lot of music that is out, and actually this video took a lot longer than it was supposed to in terms of writing. But to help calm your nerves and to ease you in a little bit, I'm going to be recommending 2 albums and 3 individual tracks that I think will indoctrinate you into the world of Destroyer. As always, we're going to start with the albums. The first album from Destroyer that I think you should hear is their 2006 LP, Destroyer's Rubies. This is definitely one of the first records where they really stray away from the basic indie rock stylings that they used before and really opted for something more lively and entertaining. Basically, the shortest and best way that I can describe this record is that it feels like a musical. Each and every piece of each and every song feels purposeful and enticing. Take the opening track Rubies, for example. Clocking in at over 9 minutes, it features sections of streaky guitars, ethereal synths, and velvety vocals. It really does feel like the opening act of a play, the way that it establishes melodies and lyrical thematics as important pieces to the puzzle. Another amazing cut is Painter in Your Pocket. A much more subdued track when it comes to the instrumental, Behar still performs this thing with his usual amount of swagger. Also, the guitar riff at the beginning of the hook is just very, very good. Finally, I'd like to touch on A Dangerous Woman Up to a Point. A deliberate slow burner, there is a real swing to the muted guitar strikes and percussion. Once the song hits a certain point, it almost turns into a sing-along with this quasi-humming that comes after the hook. And listen, I know that I'm recommending Destroyer's Rubies first here, but I also understand that there is a learning curve with Destroyer's music. Simply put, give this album a listen, but also be willing to give this behemoth a second chance before writing it off as something that you don't like or don't understand. Just trust me on this one, I promise. Next up, you absolutely need to listen to their 2011 magnum opus, Kaput. Yeah, sure, I could have recommended this one first, but I do feel that you need to understand Rubies before you can fully appreciate Kaput. On the opening cut, Chinatown, you'll instantly feel the tonal shift between these two projects. Chinatown feels futuristic, abstract, and clean, putting a new emphasis on mixing and production. It feels out there and less grounded than Rubies, but it's in this unfamiliarity that we are given these nuanced sounds that really lift Kaput above the rest. Another wonderful song from this album is Suicide Demo for Kara Walker. Yes, that is one hell of a name, but this is also one of the most transcendent tracks on Kaput. The drum machine and synths are to die for. The horn section that opens up the song should be placed in a museum, and Behar's lyrics are cryptic and introspective. To me, Suicide Demo for Kara Walker is the heart of this record. Then we get to the title track, Kaput. Every stylistic choice on this song is superb, from the layered vocals all the way to the bubbling bass line. Behar's vocals are spectacular across this entire project, but I do feel like they are the warmest on this track in particular. Last but certainly not least, you really need to pay attention to Song for America. I would argue that this is mainly the thesis of this LP, specifically with the content and the lyrics, as well as the exuberant amount of jazz funk that is played in the instrumental. It's low-key and built from repetitiveness, but it absolutely works in all facets. Kaput is certainly an experience of an album. You might not find many singular tracks that you would add to something like a playlist, but that is because Kaput is meant to be enjoyed in its full form. Regardless, it's an amazing project that you should absolutely be checking out, especially if you were planning on getting into Destroyer in the first place. Now that we've conquered the albums, it's time to take on the tracks. The first track from Destroyer to check out is Streethawk 1 from the 2001 LP, Streethawk A Seduction. An earlier look at the stylistic choices from Destroyer, this is one of the first examples of Behar's attempts to use a barrage of noise and uncommon sounds to help create his art. It helps that the song is the intro to this record due to its, well, I don't know really how to say this nicely, but pretentiousness that is just really all over this album. Now that I'm reading this back, it sounds like a bad thing, but I can assure that that is not the case. Behar's vocals are as engaging and engrossing as ever, while the instrumental continually opens up like a flower blooming at the beginning of spring. It's eclectic and kind of wild, but Streethawk 1 is absolutely worth your time. Next up, you should definitely listen to It's Going to Take an Airplane from the 2004 album Your Blues. The opening melody is reminiscent of something that Sparklehorse would have done on his album It's a Wonderful Life. It's calm and pensive, holding Behar's full emotions back like a dam holds back water. Now, of course, Behar does let some of this emotion slip through, but that is because it wouldn't be a Destroyer track without it. When I really boil it down, it's the repetitive nature in the melody and lyrics that make this a song that I keep coming back to. Do not forget to spin It's Going to Take an Airplane. Finally, you should check out Eat the Wine, Drink the Bread from his latest album, Labyrinthitis. Immediately, you are smacked in the face with this grooving bass line and inviting percussion. This cut is a dance cut through and through, reminding me of music that probably would have been found on Kaput. It's an expertly crafted track with all the tiny moving parts falling gently into place to create this rambunctious and off-the-wall tune. If you miss out on Eat the Wine, Drink the Bread, well, that's just your own darn fault. Now, before I close this video, I would like to mention a couple of bonus tracks because, like I always say, it is hard to pick just 2 albums and 3 individual tracks when I have a huge backlog of music to look into, especially when it's an artist like Destroyer. So very quickly, let's get into things. Modern Painters from This Night is awesome. Same thing with No Ceasefires from City of Daughters. Also, It Just Doesn't Happen from Have We Met, and Sky's Gray from Ken. 4 really good tracks that could have easily been added to this list, but hey, we'll do it in this short form to keep this video a little bit shorter. And that will conclude my video on Destroyer. Hopefully you got some great recommendations from this video, especially if you've never heard of Destroyer before. All of the links can be found in the video description box below, so go ahead and check them out. If this is your first time really discovering Destroyer at all and you use some of my recommendations, go ahead to the comment section and let me know if I made some good picks, if you enjoyed anything that I recommended. Maybe you're a huge Destroyer fan already and you thought that I just really messed up with the picks. I should have picked one of these other 13 albums that he has. Well, whatever, I could do better, I guess. But hey, there's a lot of options with Destroyer, so I will defend myself on that. You can also suggest any artist you'd like to see covered on this show in the comment section as well. Just know that I do have a bit of a backlog built up that I will be releasing as time goes on. So if you don't see your suggestion right away, don't panic. I'm probably working on it, or at least thinking about working on it. How about that? You can subscribe for more videos just like this every single week, along with a series called Stacks of Wax that I do once a month, where I go through my record collection and just really show off what I've got. So yeah, welcome to 2023. Pretty cool. I'm still in 2022, by the way. This is like December 12th. Actually, this is my birthday, December 12th. Yeah, so let's hope it's a good year. Thank you all. Really appreciate it for coming out in the new year with me. And yeah, we're going to continue this channel and see what happens. So before I let you go, I just want to remind you to go and support your local record store if you can, along with your local artists in your area. And well, until I see you next time, happy listening.